Our anime starts with a guy named Rintaro, who has a tough presence that makes everyone keep their distance. Yet, his world shifts when he becomes friends with Kaoruko, a kind girl from a rival school who shows him how to live a regular life. On the day they first met, it was just like any other day for Kikyo and Chidori, two schools that really can't stand each other. From Chidori, Rintaro often looks out his window at Kikyo, the all-girls school next door, having already accepted he'd never understand what goes on there. The girls at Kikyo always give the Chidori boys a wide berth, treating them like a bunch of delinquents. One morning, Rintaro's buddies, Saku and Shohei, get into a little squabble with two boys from another school. Everyone wants to avoid a full-blown fight, but they keep pointing fingers at each other for starting it. Rintaro walks over, and just one look from him is enough to send the two boys scrambling away, as if they'd seen a flash of lightning. Rintaro gives his friends a light telling off, but Saku quickly flips the script, claiming Rintaro actually started the trouble, and those bullies were after him before they dashed away. As they head to school, Rintaro remembers an incident near his home where a girl had slapped her boyfriend in the street. One of the boys saw him then. When Rintaro checked on the boyfriend, the poor guy just got terrified of him. His friends listen, not surprised, for they know Rintaro has a good heart, but his scary face often makes people think he's dangerous. They brush past two Kikyo girls, and one drops her handkerchief. Shohei picks it up and tries to return it, but the girl gives him a frightened look and tells him to just toss it. Despite the harsh treatment, Shohei convinces himself that she was simply too shy to chat with someone as charming as him. They enter their school building, which looks very different from Kikyo's fancy architecture. Rintaro thinks about the stark differences between their schools and how the Kikyo girls truly dislike the Chidori boys. Chidori is known for being full of slackers and bad influences, with a poor image and low academic standing. The Kikyo students look down on the boys so much that they keep their curtains drawn to avoid even seeing the Chidori building. While checking his phone, Rintaro gets a job notification. He turns down his friend's invite to karaoke and makes his way to his family's cafe, where he works as a baker. When he arrives, he asks his mom, Kikos, if it's okay for him to serve customers, worried his looks might scare them. Kikos tells him it's fine since there's only one customer. While everyone hustles with desserts for an event, Rintaro sets up the counter. He spots an umbrella near the entrance. He looks up and sees a sweet small girl sitting at a table with a pile of empty plates. The girl notices him looking and blushes from embarrassment, then starts struggling to breathe. Rintaro rushes over with water. She gulps it down, thanks him for the cakes, and then quickly rushes out. That evening, as they're shutting down the shop, Kyoko casually brings up the choking girl's name, Kaoruko, a regular customer. Rintaro feels guilty that he scared her off, but Kyoko waves away his fears. She insists Kaoruko isn't easily frightened and jokes that her tasty treats can always win anyone over. The next day, Rintaro's mind is still stuck on what happened. During lunch, he gets lost in thought, pondering how to make amends or see her again. But when his friends ask what's bothering him, he just shrugs off their questions, saying it's nothing. At his house, Kyoko rushes into Rintaro's room, telling him Kaoruko is at the cafe and wants to meet him. Rintaro hurries down, eager to see her. Kaoruko surprises him by insisting on buying him something. Rintaro soon finds a cake in front of him, and Kaoruko apologizes for darting off the other day. He tries to refuse the treat, but notices her glancing longingly at the food. He smoothly pushes it closer to her, and she hesitates a moment, but eventually gives in and eats it happily. Kaoruko shares why she left so suddenly. The day before, she thought she was alone and safe to gobble down all the desserts. But when he spotted her, she got embarrassed because she'd seen him there before and had been curious about him. In that moment, Rintaro realizes she wasn't scared but just had a deep blush and jitters, and she admits that he makes her heart race. Rintaro is confused because unlike other people who flinch in front of him, Kaoruko was different. Her genuine honesty touches him, and he feels a strange warm feeling inside. Feeling shy, Rintaro offers to walk with her to the station, but she grabs another sweet and decides to head off alone. As she's leaving, she tells him she's never seen him as frightening, and her words simply freeze Rintaro. Outside though, those two bullies from earlier are still secretly watching them. Alone in his room, Rintaro thinks about Kaoruko and how she was different from everyone else who said bad things about him, and he doesn't know how to feel. Kyoko then bursts in with the food Kaoruko bought, which Kyoko found outside, and Rintaro rushes out to find her, worried. Rintaro hears a commotion in an alley and finds the two bullies cornering Kaoruko, threatening her. They call Rintaro a rough guy, saying Chidori is full of bad guys like him. Rintaro listens to their harsh words, but Kaoruko fights back. She admits their words sound bad, but she believes that if they actually spoke to Rintaro, they would find the kindness in him. Frustrated by her words, the boys grab her tightly. One swings his arm, ready to harm her. But when he raises his fist, Rintaro blocks it in a flash and sends them scrambling away with his glare. Kaoruko quickly checks his injury. He assures her it's just from bumping a wall, not the bully's attack. He then bows low, apologizing for dragging her into trouble. Kaoruko, however, pulls out a tissue, wipes the blood from him, and tells him something he'd never heard in his life. She doesn't understand why people are scared of someone with such a kind heart. She then brushes away his apology and thanks him instead. For the first time, a door opens within him to a world he'd never known, a world where his looks didn't judge him. He then walks her to the station. As they say their goodbyes, she suggests they meet up and eat dessert sometime, which he happily agrees to. The next morning, Rintaro arrives at school early, his mind still on Karuko. He glances out the window and sees Karuko wearing a Kikyo uniform. Their eyes meet for a moment, and he quickly pulls the curtain shut in disbelief, realizing she's not just some girl, but a student from Kikyo, his school's biggest rival. Rintaro thinks about how fate played a trick on him, sending him a wonderful girl, only to ruin it by having her belong to Kikyo. Lost in his own head, Shohei appears, grumbling about the Kikyo girls and how terribly they treated him all morning, which makes him want to get even. He claims he had no option but to join Chidori, but Saku and Ayato jump in, reminding him he's not the brightest. They join in bad-mouthing Kikyo. Saku expresses his deep hatred, saying the girls treated them poorly just because they weren't smart enough, and he believes the two schools will never be allies. Still distracted, Rintaro's friends notice and ask about his bandaged head, but he's too lost in his thoughts to answer. Ayato points to the closed curtain, noting how unusual it is. Shohei thinks Rintaro despises Kikyo girls so much he refuses to see them, but Rintaro sharply denies it, which makes everyone uncomfortable. His friends don't understand his behavior, but Rintaro calms their worries, saying he doesn't like the glare from the sun. Still, Saku senses something off. During lessons, Rintaro finds it hard to focus. He keeps replaying Kaoruko's surprise when she spotted him in the classroom, worrying he made her uncomfortable. He believes she will stop coming to the cafe now, and that it's better that way, since their schools just can't mix. After school ends, Shohei asks him to join him. Rintaro sees no message from his mother asking for help, so he agrees to karaoke with them. They joyfully leave school, ready to sing some of their favorite tunes. But suddenly they notice a crowd by the gate, all looking at someone. Curious, they check and see Kaoruko standing alone outside Chidori, waiting for someone from their school. Rintaro turns his head in disbelief, unsure how to react. Driven by annoyance, Shohei marches up to her and tries to scare her, demanding to know why Kikyo's here. Kaoruko softly explains she's waiting for someone. Shohei gets heated again, but before punches fly, Rintaro leaps in and effortlessly pulls him back, telling him off for scaring her. He offers a quick apology to Kaoruko. Then a light bulb goes off for Shohei, with Kaoruko waiting for someone in Chidori. Someone from Chidori must have a girlfriend. Instead of rage, tears well up and he cries, saying he's so envious that someone from their school has a girlfriend. Then Kaoruko's friends barrel in. They push the boys aside and drag her away. More Kikyo girls cluster, whispering mean things, saying Chidori boys are like a plague. Shohei feels insulted and demands an apology after being shoved, but one girl smacks his hand away, gives him a hateful look, and walks off with Kaoruko. As Kaoruko is being pulled away, she glances back at Rintaro, filled with concern. Walking towards karaoke, his friends chat about the Kikyo girls. Rintaro lags behind, trying to compose himself after what just happened. An idea pops into his head. Kaoruko was there for him. He can't shake the thought that Kaoruko wanted to see him. His friends turn to look at him, shocked by his expression, saying they'd never seen him so happy. Deep down, he knew the truth of his feelings. Still, he felt they shouldn't see each other. At the karaoke place, Shohei loudly sings his favorite songs. Meanwhile, Rintaro browses songs when Saku nudges him, saying he's acting strange lately. He points to Rintaro's injury and asks him to open up if anything is bothering him. Rintaro wants to tell them about Kaoruko, but he remembers their dislike for Kikyo girls, so he keeps the secret, saying he's fine. His friends accept it, and Rintaro feels bad for worrying Saku, but Saku still has questions. Later, Rintaro sees the cafe lights on after closing hours. He goes to tell his mom about the unlocked door, but finds Kaoruko inside, who looks happy to see him. She apologizes for the mess at school, admitting she hadn't really grasped the rivalry between their two schools. Rintaro tells her it's okay and asks her to look up. Kikyo suddenly appears, brings out some cakes, and urges Kaoruko to eat. Kaoruko tries to decline, but her stomach growls, making them all chuckle. Rintaro then invites her to eat with him, and they settle down together. Kaoruko enjoys her food, and Rintaro watches her, noticing how sweet she is. Then she apologizes for Shohei getting pushed, but Rintaro reassures her he's fine. He asks why she was there earlier. Kaoruko admits she wanted to see him. Rintaro's face flushes red, realizing it was for him. She apologizes again. Rintaro, flustered, says it's okay and he was glad to see her. He blushes hard and tries to backtrack his words, but Kaoruko gently stops him, begging him not to. She's happy to know he was glad to see her. Both feel awkward, so he tells her to eat. He then shares he didn't think she'd return to the cafe. She asks why. He explains the school rivalry, saying it's bad for a Kikyo girl to be seen with him. To his utter surprise, Kaoruko says she was happy learning he was from Chidori. She darts out quickly, promising it's true, and thrilling she was happy they were neighbors. As Kaoruko walks away, he sees her expression, realizing he hurt her by not sharing her joy. Kikyo checks in, sees Kaoruko gone, and then sees Rintaro's pained face, getting worried. Afterward, Rintaro tells his mom what happened. She taps his head, blaming herself for not teaching him about girls. Rintaro questions why Kaoruko bothered, despite her Kikyo background, and his mom sighs. She calls his words foolish and points out his treatment of Kaoruko is just like how people judged him for his looks, which stings Rintaro deeply. She asks if Kaoruko ever treated him badly, knowing he's a scary Chidori guy. Rintaro finally sees his error. He punches his own head, making himself bleed. Kikyoko gets alarmed, but Rintaro looks at her and thanks her for the conversation. The following morning, Kaoruko reaches her school, stunned to see Rintaro waiting in front of her gates. She asks why he's there. He's there just for her, he says. He apologizes for hurting her. Kaoruko blushes, realizing he saw her sadness. She admits her own feelings were a bit selfish, and that Rintaro was kind to seek her out. Kaoruko's honesty always impressed him, so Rintaro decides to be honest too. He hates when his Chidori friends speak ill of her and fears being with him causes trouble. However, he wants to retract those thoughts and apologizes for judging her by her school, not seeing her true self. He expresses joy that she wants to see him. Kaoruko's face breaks into a smile. She gets up, feeling light. Despite the rivalry, she wants to know him for who he really is. Rintaro is deeply moved, and he gets her phone number. Her classroom is empty, so Kaoruko asks him for a favor. He goes to his classroom, looks across to her window, and she leaps with joy, knowing he's watching her. A few days later, Rintaro and Shohei sit in class, grumbling about the heat. They dream of a cool hotel room and just want to escape boredom. Shohei suddenly remembers the sports festival and desperately wants to compete and win big. Then their teacher drops a bomb. No one who failed exams can join. Makeup tests instead. Shohei begs for mercy. The teacher agrees to a deal. Ice cream is a prize if they pass exams and win the festival. Back in their classroom, Shohei freaks out. His brain just isn't working. He pleads with Saku to tutor them, but Saku rejects the idea, for they failed last year despite his efforts. Ayato looks at Rintaro, and Rintaro feels hopeless too. He asks Ayato for help, but Ayato admits he's no smarter. Shohei proudly declares they'll study on their own, and Saku throws down a challenge: pass the exams without his help. Kyoko messages Rintaro, saying their bakery has a sale and suggests inviting Kaoruko. Rintaro notes Kaoruko hasn't been around, thinking she might be short on cash. He nervously drafts an invite and sends the message. He waits for a reply all day. School finishes, still no word. Then a text arrives. She's too busy to come. He's confused by his sadness. Shohei invites him to the library and they buckle down to study, aiming to improve. After an hour, Shohei is exhausted. Feeling hopeless, Rintaro proposes Shohei make amends with Saku. Shohei admits he felt awful for failing and wasting Saku's time. Rintaro reassures him, saying Saku truly cares and wants them all at the festival. Shohei, touched by the words, wonders about Rintaro's change. He stands up decisively, vowing to apologize to Saku and bring him back to the library. They'll all be there for the big day. Once Shohei departs, Rintaro stays to study. Two girls search for a table, and Rintaro politely stands, leaving his spot for them. They understand his gesture but are too late to say thanks. About to leave, Rintaro hears Kaoruko's name. He spots her studying with a friend and realizes her absence from the cafe was due to her own exams. He watches them quietly, ducking away when almost seen. He's pleased to hear her speaking casually, unlike her formal tone with him. Her friend praises her intelligence, maintaining her top grades. Rintaro listens, astonished by how incredible Kaoruko is. Rintaro leaves the library and continues his studying. He thinks about Kaoruko's smarts and compares it to his own poor academic standing, feeling so far behind her. He lies down for a short rest, but Shohei's encouraging words echo, making him vow not to fail. Kaoruko suddenly shows up, startling Rintaro. She tells him she noticed him earlier and knew it was him. Holding her lunch, she says she's hungry. Rintaro quickly makes space so she can sit down. She apologizes for missing the cafe's sale and promises to visit once she earns enough. Rintaro is surprised by this, as he always thought Kaoruko came from money. Kaoruko explains she's not rich and got into Kikyo on scholarship, so she must keep her top grades. She then shares her struggles, little sleep from all-nighters, but she's ready for it all. She's just a normal girl who joined a top school and has to work extra hard. He questions her dedication. Kaoruko remembers begging her father to let her attend Kikyo, and swore she'd never let him down. This fuels her drive. Rintaro sees his unfairness, judging her by wealth, something he hated about his own life. Humbly, he asks Kaoruko for help, doesn't want to fail again, and wants to be with his friends. He asks her to think about it. Kaoruko shares her food and promises to tutor him when she can. Kaoruko's closest friend Subaru then appears. Rintaro is struck by her silver hair and fierce look. Subaru instantly knows Rintaro is from Chidori and orders him to stay away from Kaoruko. Kaoruko tries to smooth things over. Shohei and the others suddenly show up, rushing to Rintaro's side, seeing him surrounded by Kikyo girls. The scene quickly gets messy. Subaru calls the Chidori boys brainless. Shohei gets offended and challenges her words. He spots Kaoruko, recognizes her, and moves closer. Rintaro instantly pulls him back. Subaru also pulls Kaoruko away. Shohei is baffled by Rintaro's action, and Rintaro is shocked by his own impulse. Subaru quickly leads Kaoruko away, claiming Chidori boys will make her dumb. Saku won't let that insult pass, throws out insults about Subaru's family, hurting Subaru. Rintaro steps in to stop Saku and lies, saying he approached Kaoruko to apologize for scaring her. Shohei and Ayato are puzzled, as Shohei was the one who scared her. Shohei walks up to the girls and, to everyone's surprise, genuinely apologizes for frightening Kaoruko. Kaoruko bows to Shohei, shocking all, and apologizes for making them uncomfortable. Subaru tries to stop her, but Kaoruko insists Subaru apologize to Rintaro before they leave. Subaru refuses and leaves. Kaoruko bows once more before following. The boys are confused, seeing such kindness from a Kikyo girl. They turn to Saku, who had stood up for them, and he grumbles he can't stand his friends being talked down to by some silly girl. At the same time, Subaru tells off Kaoruko for saying sorry to the Chidori boys, calling them all trash. But she remembers Rintaro shielding her from Saku's mean words, and she starts rethinking things. She asks Kaoruko what Rintaro was like during their tense meeting. Kaoruko answers Rintaro was so kind, and Subaru's strong dislike for Chidori boys wavers. Back at his house, Rintaro pushes himself to study, even though his mind is fried. Kaoruko calls unexpectedly. He answers in a squeaky voice. They both say sorry for the library drama and assure each other their friends are good people. Kaoruko praises Rintaro for protecting her, saying he seemed awesome. Rintaro blushes as no one ever told him that. She brings up studying together. He points out her formal language. She says she's just a customer. He feels a pang of disappointment, thinking they were closer. Before ending the call, Rintaro suggests she drop the formalities. She can talk to him like a friend. Kaoruko nervously agrees, and they hang up. Rintaro feels his face burning, wondering about her reaction. Kaoruko, meanwhile, grins broadly, feeling shy and happy, charmed by Rintaro. A few days later, Rintaro gets up early, a mix of nerves and excitement, knowing he's studying with Kaoruko today. He rides the train to meet her. Girls on the train notice his height. He looks out the window at familiar scenes. But today, everything feels different. He steps off the train, knows he's early, but Kaoruko is already waiting, greeting him with a beaming smile. Seeing her up close, he notices how cute she appears. They find a table at a cafe Kaoruko has always wanted to visit, and she savors every bite. Rintaro watches her. She's happiest when eating. He tries the food and finds it incredibly tasty. Then they start math. Rintaro shows her a problem. She leans in very close. They both notice their closeness, quickly pull back, and both blush, struggling to focus. Kaoruko asks his reason for good grades. He wants to enjoy the sports festival with his friends. She asks if he truly loves them. Surprised by the question, after thinking, he says yes. She talks about Subaru. Despite her tough exterior, Subaru is kind. Childhood friends, Subaru's past problems with men. Kaoruko was glad Rintaro didn't insult Subaru. Later, as they get ready to leave, Kaoruko hands Rintaro a special notebook made just for his studies. He worries he's being a bother, but she insists she wants him to have fun at the sports festival, eager to hear about it. Kaoruko heads home, and Rintaro feels driven for his exams. But just as he leaves, someone grabs him. He turns to see Subaru, who wants to talk alone. They settle at a cafe table, and Rintaro feels on edge in the silence. Subaru asks directly if he's seeing Kaoruko. He sputters, spilling hot coffee, burning his hand. Subaru offers a tissue. He notices her calmer demeanor. She asks again about dating Kaoruko. He quickly denies it. She then probes his relationship with Kaoruko. He's unsure how to answer. He might mean nothing to her. Seeing his hesitation, she assumes they recently met. Rintaro confirms this. She's relieved they aren't close and asks him to stay away from Kaoruko. He tries to explain Chidori doesn't make him a bad guy. Subaru says she already knows because he stood up for her, even after her insults. She warns about the danger to Kaoruko if her school finds out about a Chidori friend, especially with teachers hating Chidori and Kaoruko's scholarship at stake. A small boy trips nearby. Rintaro moves to help, but Subaru is quicker. She helps the child first, gives him his fallen toy, and receives a thank you. The child praises Subaru's hair, reminding her of past bullying. She tells Rintaro her story. Kaoruko was the first to defend her and compliment her hair. Kaoruko became her hero and best friend. Subaru vows to protect Kaoruko at all costs, even if Kaoruko dislikes her for it. Subaru again begs Rintaro to avoid Kaoruko. Rintaro remembers the school feuds, but Karuko's open mind changes things. He rejects Subaru's plea, leaving her heartbroken in the cafe, realizing Karuko's happiest smiles are with Rintaro. Walking home, Rintaro thinks about Subaru's fierce loyalty and wonders if he feels such deep care for anyone. Two girls enter the train, looking for seats. Rintaro offers his seat. They recognize him and thank him for the library seats. He's surprised by their gratitude, especially given his looks, but it makes him think of Karuko's constant thanks, how her kindness rescued Subaru from a sad past. The next morning, the teacher shares exam results. The class holds its breath. Then, to everyone's delight, Rintaro and Shohei passed. The class erupts in cheers for the class's biggest dummies. Rintaro feels immense happiness. The whole class sheds tears of joy with him. They all thank Saku for his tutoring. Rintaro, in his heart, feels grateful to Karuko. He reaches for his phone to text her, remembers Subaru's warning, and stops himself. During the celebration, Saku bumps Rintaro's desk and his study notes fall out. Saku sees the unique notebook gifted by Karuko, her name written on it. He asks Rintaro about it. Rintaro snatches the note back. The guys hear Karuko's name. They recognize her from the library and her scary silver-haired friend. They no longer see it as chance. Saku demands answers from Rintaro, why he kept it secret, realizing Rintaro's recent odd behavior and his defense of Kikyo students. Saku pushes again, why he didn't confide in them. Rintaro firmly replies he won't discuss it. Saku tries to dig deeper. The teacher intervenes, thinking a fight, and tells them to begin class. Shohei pulls Saku away. Rintaro apologizes to Ayato for grabbing the note so roughly. Ayato says it's fine. Afterward, Rintaro curses himself for leaving Karuko's notes with his books, but recalling her help with the test, he wants to show thanks. While Karuko is studying, Rintaro texts her his appreciation. She replies, happy he passed, wishes him fun at the sports festival. He realizes that might not happen, given the recent trouble. The following morning, Shohei and Ayato are stressed, seeing Rintaro and Saku apart. Their dream of a fun sports festival fades. Ayato urges Shohei to keep trying. Shohei invites them to baseball, but both ignore him, leaving him sad and crushed. Later, after school, Saku walks home. Ayato and Shohei appear, asking to talk. Saku says there's nothing to discuss, but they see through his facade. He truly wants to speak. Saku strides ahead, venting his anger. The others expect rage about Kikyo girls. To their surprise, Saku's anger stems from Rintaro. He wants to be close to Rintaro, support him, but Rintaro pushes him away. Shohei offers a different viewpoint. Rintaro's amazing quality is making people feel thankful to him, something only they truly see. Ayato then adds that Rintaro actually talked about his feelings, a rare thing for him. Ayato trusts Rintaro will eventually open up. When he's ready, he'll share his heart. This ignites a spark of hope in Saku. They go get some food. At the bakery, Kyoko sees Rintaro looking down. She asks if he failed his tests again. Rintaro says he passed every one. Kyoko is stunned, thinks he cheated. He assures her he passed honestly. Kaoruko suddenly walks in. Rintaro vanishes, hiding. He hears Kyoko wants cakes. She tells Kyoko about her dessert cravings. Kyoko thinks of Rintaro. He quickly shushes her to avoid being seen. Kyoko pulls Rintaro forward, revealing him to Kyoko, tells him he was hiding behind glass. Kyoko is shocked to see him. Embarrassed he heard her cravings. Kyoko steps in to help, tells Rintaro to take Kaoruko's order, and goes to clean the kitchen. As Kyoko chooses her cake, she remembers their exams. She lifts her hands for high fives for passing in the sports festival. This brings Rintaro back to his problem. He high fives her without joy. She senses his sadness. Kyoko, though unaware, tries to cheer him up, suggests eating more when down. Her words get jumbled. Rintaro laughs, seeing her effort. Kyoko is glad to see his smile. He sees her smile back, feels love begin to grow. When Kyoko leaves, she promises to return, leaving Rintaro amazed. Kyoko just eased his worries. He understands his refusal to Subaru, not just respect but deeper feelings. After the cafe shuts down, Rintaro finds Kyoko cooking a huge meal. He asks what's the occasion. She's celebrating his passing exams. She initially doubted it. She asks to see his scores. She's overcome with happiness. Rintaro admits he just scraped by. Kyoko recalls his past tendency to quit. But now he has fight in him. She's incredibly proud, glad he found a reason to try. She notes he's still figuring things out. Rintaro is surprised. Kyoko reminds him a mother knows. Proud of his journey as a man, even with his overthinking, he finds his true values. Kyoko is happy, seeing Rintaro happy too. Meanwhile, walking home, Karuko feels her heart flutter, remembering Rintaro's easy laugh. She sees how good-looking he is, wishes to see that side more. She checks her phone for his texts, hoping for more messages. But Subaru suddenly texts, asking to meet. In a quiet park, Subaru sits alone, feeling sad, thinking about her bond with Karuko. Karuko appears. Subaru notices her outfit. asks if she'd been out. Karuko confirms it. Karuko then looks at the playground, where they first met, bringing back old times. Karuko asks what's on her mind. Subaru, with pain and force, admits she spoke to Rintaro without Karuko's knowledge. Subaru always pictured Karuko as a strong, beautiful person. She remembers Karuko falling while playing. Subaru cried, worried sick, but Karuko smiled and comforted her. Subaru always wanted to be as strong as Karuko. Now she feels so far from it. She confesses everything to Karuko. Seeing her with Rintaro at the cafe, telling Rintaro to avoid her. She apologizes, realizing her hurtful actions. But Karuko, instead of anger, says she knows Subaru's been hurting, apologizes for making Subaru worry, calls her kind for her concern. This stirs Subaru why Karuko is apologizing. She remembers her own low self-worth. Days after talking to Rintaro, Subaru feared Karuko would despise her. But seeing Karuko's happiness, Subaru knew Rintaro hadn't exposed her. Yet, a heavy guilt began to grow within her, so she chose to tell everything. After her confession, Karuko showed no anger. Subaru felt guilty, even relieved. Then she cried uncontrollably, realizing despite her growth and brave front, she was still the same tearful, scared girl. Subaru, soaking in her tears, apologizes for causing Karuko problems. But Karuko, in the gloom, brings her into the light, joyfully asks her to play like old times. Karuko swings on the monkey bars, tells Subaru to join the fun. After Subaru calms down, Karuko shares a memory. The day she fell at the playground, it hurt so much, but she didn't cry because Subaru was crying for her, begging her not to die, offering to take her pain like a green-haired pirate. Karuko was so surprised she forgot how to cry. Moments like that made Karuko see Subaru's goodness. Subaru insists she's not good, only a burden. Karuko, having heard enough, says it pains her to see Subaru self-deprecate, knowing she's truly kind. Karuko says she's always watched Subaru and always seen her good heart. Hugging her tightly, Karuko begs Subaru to accept her kind self, the one she loves. This makes Subaru weep. Karuko promises, until Subaru can love her true self, she will keep saying she loves her. Karuko's words remind Subaru of her consistent kindness. She hugs Karuko close, asks about her feelings for Rintaro, trusting her judgment. Karuko says she wants to see Rintaro. Subaru recalls Karuko's bright smile with him. Then she whispers, asking if Karuko likes him. Remembering Rintaro's kindness, she confesses her deep love for him. Subaru then shares a secret. Rintaro refused to stop seeing Karuko when Subaru told him to. This news makes Karuko beam. Subaru hugs her tighter. Knowing Karuko loves her truly, she believes one day she'll trust Karuko's words and walk proudly beside her, like two strong blooming flowers. As they walk home, Karuko is surprised by a message from Rintaro, asking for Subaru's phone number. Rintaro, on his end, is super nervous, feels he needs to clear things up with Subaru after their last tense meeting. Suddenly, Karuko calls him. He picks up, apologizing for missed texts. He then tells Karuko to talk with Subaru, but Karuko, without a word, passes the phone to a shocked Subaru. Rintaro tries to suggest talking now, but Subaru tells him to meet her instead. The following day, Rintaro meets Subaru, both still in school uniforms. He mentions it. Subaru just shrugs it off, thanks him for noticing. Rintaro, with firm resolve, asks what he needs to do for her to allow him to see Karuko. Subaru jokes she's not Karuko's father. Rintaro says he knows how much she cares, worries he might cause Karuko trouble, but he still wants to see her. He asks again for her approval. Subaru doesn't reply right away, reminds him he already chose to meet Karuko. Rintaro understands Subaru's earlier anger, knowing Karuko's importance to her. He waits for her answer. Subaru sees the kind heart in Rintaro. The man Karuko loves feels bad for her past harshness. She starts to laugh, embarrassed, reveals she told Karuko everything about their cafe talk. He blushes, remembering his defiance. Subaru then tells Rintaro meeting Karuko away from school is fine. No one needs to know about their friendship. A football accidentally hits Rintaro. The little boy from the cafe runs over, recognizing them as his helpers. They give him his ball back. The boy points out their closeness, which isn't quite true yet, but the kid insists they're hanging out like friends. After the boy leaves, Subaru tells Rintaro they aren't friends now, but hopes to be someday, once she accepts herself. Rintaro is surprised. He mentions the school rivalry, asks if something happened to change her mind. Subaru just smiles mysteriously, says it's a secret. The following day, Rintaro checks his phone, finds his friend's group chat quiet. He blames himself for the silence, remembering Saku's question about Karuko's note and his own blunt refusal. Now Karuko texts him, asking about his meeting with Subaru. They begin texting. Rintaro apologizes for talking to Subaru alone. She tells him it's fine, expresses happiness that they met. The next morning, Shohei tells his friends Rintaro is acting very strange. They ask what he means. Shohei points to Rintaro playing baseball, looking totally clumsy. Shohei explains Rintaro is great at sports, despite his poor grades, so seeing him mess up is unusual. His friends agree but think Shohei is imagining things. Shohei won't drop it, says Rintaro was weird in class too. When asked about being upset, Rintaro said everything was perfectly fine. His friends, not really caring, agree to try and shut him up, but Shohei talks them into following Rintaro to figure out what's wrong. As they quietly follow him, Shohei pushes Saku to grow up and apologize to Rintaro. Ayato chimes in, both Rintaro and Saku are stubborn. Shohei agrees. They continue trailing. The trio is stunned to see Rintaro meeting Kikyo students. At a cafe table, Rintaro apologizes to Subaru and Kaoruko for calling them out. Kaoruko reassures him she's happy to see him. Subaru clearly notices Kaoruko's joy, thinking her friend is so obvious about her feelings. Meanwhile, in a nearby booth, Shohei grumbles, seeing Rintaro with girls. Ayato ponders his food choice. Saku freaks out, shushing them. Shohei keeps complaining it's not fair Rintaro has all the girls. Saku sighs, wonders why Subaru is with Rintaro, given her dislike for guys. Subaru then asks Rintaro why he wanted this cafe meeting. Rintaro, gathering courage, explains he wants to tell his friends about them. Subaru asks for his reasoning. He shares his dislike for secrets from friends, confesses he was lonely for ages because of his scary appearance, but that changed at Chidori. Meeting Shohei, Saku, and Ayato, they became his true friends. He felt a sense of belonging. Rintaro finishes his story, thanks Kaoruko for her study help, which also helped him not give up on life. Aware of potential fallout, Rintaro apologizes to the girls, but Kaoruko smiles happily, says she'd love to meet his friends. Subaru agrees, saying if Kaoruko's okay, so is she. Rintaro is overwhelmed with thanks. In the next booth, his friends go silent. Later, Rintaro walks the girls. Subaru asks if he can introduce his friends soon. She wants to apologize for her past rudeness. He promises to arrange it. Then a group of boys calls out to Rintaro. Their leader mockingly apologizes for his younger friend's trouble. Rintaro, not recognizing them, asks who they are. Kaoruko points to the bushes where the two bullies hide. They realize the bullies must have complained to their older friends, and these are their seniors now. Rintaro tries to defuse the tension, tells the older boys he doesn't want to fight, tries to leave, but more bullies surround them. The leader says he won't let Rintaro go, especially for bothering his juniors. Kaoruko suddenly speaks up. Rintaro isn't a troublemaker. This makes the bullies scoff louder. Rintaro shields the girls, tells them to let him handle it. The leader refuses. One boy reaches for Subaru's hair. Shohei suddenly appears, threatening him not to touch Subaru. Rintaro is stunned to see his friends. They tell him to get the girls to safety. Before leaving, Rintaro promises to tell them everything. Once Rintaro and the girls are gone, Saku confronts the bullies, warns them to back off. The silver-haired leader gets annoyed, claims they hurt Rintaro. Ayato suddenly drops his bag, walks calmly towards the bullies. Meanwhile, Rintaro apologizes to the girls. They tell him it's okay. Then Ayato calls him, says they're fine. At the park, the friends praise Ayato for taking on the bullies by himself. Before leaving, Ayato gives a final warning. Never mess with Rintaro again. At the sports festival, the friends cheer for Rintaro, but he fumbles the game. He steps aside, can't focus without talking to his friends. When they gather, he apologizes for his behavior. Shohei accidentally blurts out he's glad they followed him. Realizing his blunder, Shohei dashes off with Ayato. Saku apologizes to Rintaro for his rudeness. Rintaro tries to apologize too, but Saku stops him, says he just wants Rintaro to know he trusts him fully. With everything resolved, Rintaro hits a home run. Everyone cheers for him, making him smile. Afterwards, Shohei sobs, blaming himself for their loss. The boys try to cheer him up, promising another chance, but Shohei keeps crying until an ice cream vendor gives him takoyaki, just to silence him. Rintaro suddenly gets a text, asks his friends if they're free. They meet at a park. Rintaro introduces Kaoruko and Subaru to his friends. Kaoruko quickly apologizes for the sudden invite, but they tell her it's fine. To ease the tension, Shohei shares about their sports day, how they got second place. Rintaro watches Shohei and Kaoruko chat, amazed at their easy talk, no awkwardness. Ayato whispers to Saku why they're far from school. Saku explains they can't be seen hanging out with Kikyo girls. Kaoruko then reveals she and Subaru wanted to thank them for helping with the bullies. Saku remains silent, but Shohei and Ayato say it's no big deal. Kaoruko hands them a bag of snacks as a thank you gift, which makes Shohei cry again. He calls Kaoruko the best and asks if he can eat the snacks right away. Then Subaru stands and apologizes for the library incident. Shohei jokes he barely remembers her words, shocking Subaru. He adds he's used to insults anyway. This makes Subaru tear up until Saku also says sorry. She accepts his apology. Kaoruko encourages Subaru to do her thing. Subaru takes out expensive sweets, making the boys gasp. Shohei suddenly suggests a party, and the boys invite the girls to join. Subaru asks if she's allowed to eat with them, being from Kikyo. Shohei insists they don't care about school rivalries. Ayato adds Rintaro said they were kind girls, so she doesn't need to worry. Shohei hands her a sweet, declaring no more apologies are needed. Subaru takes the chocolate from Shohei, wondering why she ever disliked Chidori boys without getting to know them. Walking home, Shohei asks Subaru about the fancy sweets. Subaru joins them. Rintaro and Karuko walk behind. Rintaro looks at her, thanks her for the study help, asks if she wants anything. Karuko stops, tells Rintaro she wants to go somewhere just the two of them. The next morning, Rintaro is a bundle of nerves and hope. He gets off the train, stunned to see Karuko also step off. Karuko chuckles at the chance meeting, admits she was excited for this, making Rintaro blush. At the aquarium, Karuko mentions it's been ages. Rintaro asks if there's a special reason. She confesses she wants to see the dolphin show with him, then excitedly lists other wishes, saying hello to fish, trying rides, eating yummy food. Suddenly, Karuko worries about time, if they can do it all. Rintaro laughs gently, assures her they have plenty of time. Karuko playfully insists they won't have time for his plans. Rintaro softly says he just wants to be with her. They quickly enjoy the rides. Later they sit to eat. Rintaro again thanks her for his passing grade. Karuko smiles, asking about his sports day. Rintaro beams, saying he had an amazing time. Karuko then asks him to share the fun details. He's surprised for a moment, then happily tells her everything, until it's time for the dolphin show. He excuses himself. While Karuko is in the restroom, she looks through photos of Rintaro. Rintaro, outside, thinks about how adorable Karuko looks, her smiles playing in his mind. Stepping out, he sees Karuko hugging a crying girl. He walks over. She explains the girl is lost, asks if they can help find her parents. Rintaro agrees, but mentions they might miss the dolphin show. Karuko firmly says she can't leave the child alone. Rintaro is touched by her kindness, watches her comfort the little girl, Mika. Karuko introduces Mika to him. Mika is startled by Rintaro's appearance. He tries to smile gently to ease her. Karuko announces she'll find Mika's parents, asks Rintaro to stay with Mika. After she leaves, Rintaro sits with Mika. Mika apologizes for interrupting their outing. Rintaro quickly clarifies they aren't a couple. Mika then shares her own dream of a date with a boy from her class. Rintaro smiles as Mika says her crush's smile makes her happy. This deeply resonates with Rintaro. He falls silent for a moment. Then Karuko arrives with Mika's parents. The family has a joyful reunion. Mika's father thanks them for their help. Rintaro jokes he's glad they found her, not some famous actor. Before leaving, Mika whispers to Rintaro that he and Karuko would be a sweet pair. Karuko then suggests they go home, since the afternoon show is over. But Rintaro asks if she wants to see the evening show. Karuko excitedly agrees. They enjoy the performance together. When Karuko says she had the best time seeing her happiness, Rintaro realizes he loves her. Rintaro walks to school, and anyone seeing him quickly steps away, fearing his intense presence. In class, Shohei complains about sticky hair from humidity and his stinky socks. Ayato agrees, hoping the rainy season ends. Saku reminds them it's just beginning. Ayato asks where Rintaro is, noting his lateness. Suddenly the door swings open. Rintaro bumps his head on the frame. Ayato asks if he's alright. Shohei adds, it's a rough start. Rintaro greets them grimly, scaring his friends who say his eyes look lifeless. Rintaro asks if he looks that bad. They all nod together. Saku changes the subject, asks why Rintaro wears his jacket in summer. Rintaro forgot. Ayato points out Saku's own sweater. Saku claims the AC is too strong. Ayato mentions Kikyo girls must have switched to summer clothes. Rintaro drops his books. His friends stare, whispering. Something is up with Rintaro. One friend says Rintaro ate lunch with chopsticks backward. Ayato, worried, suggests asking Rintaro directly. Saku stops him, saying Rintaro would tell them if he wanted. Shohei asks about hanging out, but Rintaro is deep in thoughts of Kaoruko. He can't stop thinking about her. He looks towards Kikyo, wonders what Kaoruko does in the mornings, studies, or chats with Subaru. Realizing his obsession, Rintaro ducks behind his desk, ashamed, tells himself Kaoruko being next door isn't new, but then he remembers the dolphin show, realizes his feelings are taking over. Shohei calls out to him. Rintaro asks what's going on. Shohei apologizes for startling him, says they plan to visit his house. Rintaro stays quiet. They quickly promise to go elsewhere if he's uncomfortable. Rintaro observes his friends, realizing he'd never spoken about his family. A memory flashes back. Classmates gossiping about his family bakery. He decides not to let old hurts dictate his life. Shohei apologizes again for bringing up his home, offers his own place instead. Rintaro, calm and steady, invites them to his house, shocking his friends who ask if he's sure. Rintaro confirms it's fine, but he needs to ask his parents first. Shohei grins with excitement. Saku and Ayato exchange relieved looks. Saturday arrives. Rintaro's friends show up at his family bakery. Shohei asks why he never told them. Ayato raves about how cool a family bakery is. Rintaro, seeing their excitement, blurts out sorry, but no one hears him, distracted by cakes. This makes Rintaro rethink his worries. His mom walks in, greeting them. Rintaro watches his friends charm Kyoko. Saku hands Kyoko a polite gift. She accepts, announces a cookout. Rintaro sees his mom's happy face as she asks him to show his friends around. Once they leave, Kyoko goes to the kitchen, tells her staff she's leaving early. A worker comments on her happiness. Kyoko happily shares Rintaro brought friends. Employees note how rare this is. Kyoko confirms it's his first time. Then she hears a customer outside, steps out, and her eyes widen in shock. At the same time, the boys are stunned by his house. Shohei calls Saku and Ayato to see Rintaro's old photos. They discover he has an older brother. Rintaro feels strange having friends over when his mom calls him. He checks on her, shocked to find Kaoruko and Subaru there. Kaoruko apologizes for dropping in. He asks why she's here. Kyoko explains she came for cake with Subaru, who also shyly apologizes for showing up. Kyoko then suggests they all have lunch. Kaoruko checks with Rintaro, but Shohei quickly invites the girls himself. Saku reminds him it's not his house, making Kyoko laugh. Kyoko thanks Subaru for being kind to Rintaro, tells her to relax, which makes her smile. Meanwhile, Kaoruko apologizes to Rintaro again with that same sweet smile from the aquarium, making him blush. Kyoko sees this and smiles knowingly, then leaves them. Later, Rintaro's friends lend a hand in the kitchen with Kyoko. Kaoruko checks her outfit with Subaru. Subaru reassures her she looks great. Rintaro glances at Kaoruko, then playfully punches Saku in happiness. Once lunch is ready, Rintaro thinks his mom cooked too much. As Kyoko leaves, Rintaro relaxes, seeing everyone enjoying themselves. Shohei asks when Rintaro dyed his hair blonde. Rintaro says it was in 7th grade. They all, including Kaoruko, ask why. Rintaro nervously admits he thought piercings and blonde hair were cool. His friends call him cute. Rintaro explains the hair color change meant a lot to him. As a lonely kid, his parents took him to a foreign bakery to lift his spirits. He wasn't keen on cakes at first, but one bite was amazing. Then he saw the cheerful baker wishing for that same happiness. Since the man had blonde hair and piercings, he decided to copy him. On their way home, Rintaro told his family his wish. To his surprise, his mom agreed, making him cry after so many denials. He admits even with the change, he got more shy, but by then, he didn't care. He finishes finding the group quiet. He apologizes for the awkwardness. Shohei asks if his personality changed since elementary school. Rintaro says no. Shohei says kids had bad judgment then. He'd definitely be Rintaro's friend. Kaoruko agrees, shyly asking to serve him food. Rintaro thanks her, unaware Kyoko overheard. Remembering getting her own piercings, her husband asked if it was for Rintaro. She recalled Rintaro crying about giving up on friends. Seeing him happy that day, she vowed to support him. Her husband smiled, wishing their son would see her love. But she only wanted her kind boy to find people who accepted him. Now she smiles at the laughter in her home, announces she has cake. Kaoruko and Shohei instantly cheer. As she turns to leave, Rintaro chases her to thank her. Once he's gone, Kyoko puts on her hat, beaming with joy. Some days later, the whole group meets for a study session. Shohei immediately orders a big meal. Kaoruko leans to Rintaro for help, making Ayato and Saku grin. When they finish eating, Kaoruko declares it's study time, but Subaru points to Shohei, asleep already. Saku slaps him awake. Rintaro explains Shohei's late-night studies. Understanding his fatigue, Kaoruko tells a groggy Shohei the restaurant has desserts. They should make study goals and celebrate with sweets after hitting targets. Shohei suddenly perks up, eyes wide. The boys are shocked Kaoruko is mothering their friend. Kaoruko then tells Rintaro he can ask her for help if he gets stuck. Rintaro thanks her for the offer, but insists he wants to study alone. Kaoruko is surprised. Ayato mentions Rintaro studies even during lunch. Rintaro gets embarrassed, yells at his friends for exposing him, nervously tells Kaoruko he feels bad always relying on her, doesn't want to be bad at school again. Suddenly, Shohei fixes his gaze on Subaru's workbook. She asks why he's staring. Shohei points out her thick problem book, compared to their school's thin one. Ayato tells him to focus. Subaru inside feels a pang, realizing Shohei's book is an old one of hers. Rintaro then asks Kaoruko for help, but pauses, caught by her beauty, memories of her flooding his mind. Kaoruko notices his stare, asks if he needs something. He quickly snaps out of it, making her giggle. She guides him through the problem. Subaru almost goes to Kaoruko for help, but steps back, seeing she's busy. Shohei notices her troubled look, asks what's wrong. Subaru shows him her difficult question. He stares blankly, insisting the book is too hard. Saku steps in, tells Subaru to show him. He solves it instantly, shocking Shohei at his skill. Ayato wonders why Saku is in Chidori if he's so smart. Saku shrugs off the compliments. Subaru asks how he did it so easily. He simply says it had a clear solution. Ayato jumps in, saying Saku is a terrible teacher, stunning Saku and Shohei. Saku looks to Rintaro for support, who nervously says maybe it's their fault for not following his way. Shohei tries to cheer him up, but it just makes Saku angrier. Frustrated, Saku grabs Subaru's book, starts explaining problems step by step. However, when he finishes, the girls look even more confused. He realizes his teaching isn't helping. Embarrassed, he tries to leave, but his friends quickly gather to comfort him. Kaoruko suggests ordering desserts to brighten the mood. The nearby waitress smiles at the group's playful argument. Some days pass, the exam results are shared. Shohei is thrilled to have passed, celebrates with loud cheers. Ayato congratulates him. He breaks into a dance. Ayato also praises Rintaro for passing. Two classmates then grab Shohei and Rintaro, accusing them of betraying their failing gang. Shohei, seizing the chance, brags about his amazing teacher. The others instantly think of Saku, begging him for help, which only makes Saku more annoyed. Shohei playfully says Saku is too dramatic, making Saku even angrier. Their homeroom teacher then arrives, reminding the class summer break is near, encouraging them to have fun. A student points out he's never been so lenient. The teacher explains knowing them for months, he trusts them with their freedom. He asks about their summer plans, smiles as they eagerly share, reminding them to enjoy their young years. After class ends, the boys decide to arrange a fun day out. Shohei excitedly asks where, but when they can't agree, they ask Rintaro, who suggests bowling. On their way, they joke about being on Rintaro's team. Ayato says he's popular now. Rintaro quietly thinks about a year ago. He never imagined this kind of fun with classmates, believing Kaoruko changed everything. Just then, one boy spots the Kikyo girls. Shohei almost calls out to Kaoruko and Subaru, but Saku stops him. Another friend remembers seeing Kaoruko at their school gate, but they quickly drop the topic as they keep walking. Meanwhile, Shohei sees Rintaro staring, bluntly asks if he's dating Kaoruko. Rintaro is startled, denying it. When asked if he likes her, he blushes, making Shohei declare his crush is obvious. Ayato and Saku walk ahead to escape the awkwardness. Shohei insists he'll support Rintaro if needed, only to be pulled away by the others. Seeing Rintaro's nervous face, Ayato softly tells him his secret is safe. This makes Rintaro wonder if Kaoruko also knows his feelings. At the bowling alley, Shohei bowls first, celebrating his good score. When Saku's turn comes, his teammates secretly hope he'll fail, but he bowls perfectly, making them jealous. Rintaro, however, feels down, bowls badly despite encouragement. Their rivals tease them. Rintaro excuses himself for a drink. Thinking about his friends assuming he's dating Kaoruko, he wonders what dating even is. Ayato joins him. Rintaro apologizes for his poor play. Seeing his sadness, Ayato tells him it's okay to like Kaoruko. Rintaro chokes on his drink. Recovering, he nervously asks Ayato about dating. Ayato, saying he's also a loner, warns him not to ask classmates such things, they just tease him. He adds that most people don't fully get dating, they just try their best. Ayato then notes this is Rintaro's first time asking for advice. Rintaro wonders if he's too easy to read. Ayato explains everyone's just happy to see him open up, like he did about his past. Feeling better, Rintaro rejoins the game, starts playing better. Ayato cheers for a comeback. Afterward, Rintaro thinks about their bowling victory and dreams of a summer with Kaoruko. Just then, a text from Subaru arrives, reminding him Kaoruko's birthday is near. The next day, Rintaro ponders a birthday gift for Kaoruko. All he knows is she likes cakes. He admits his curiosity about her has grown. Seeing him staring at Kikyo, the teacher asks him to read aloud. Then, noticing Shohei asleep, she tells Rintaro to wake him. After school, Rintaro asks his mom for a good bakery recommendation. She gets annoyed, owning a bakery herself. He explains Kaoruko always buys their cakes, so he wants something different for her birthday. Knowing his son likes Kaoruko, she suggests he bake it himself. Rintaro panics, unsure how to bake. She tells him to learn from his dad. Just then, his father collapses on the stairs. After putting him to bed, they talk about his dad's tough career choice. After waking up, Rintaro remembers how his dad's cakes were loved, asks him to teach him too. Knowing the cake is for Kaoruko, his dad asks what feeling he wants the cake to convey. Rintaro, unsure at first, but recalling Kaoruko's gaze, says he wants her to feel happy eating it. With her birthday 2 weeks away, his dad agrees to train him, takes him to the kitchen immediately. For the next few days, Rintaro works hard, perfecting the cake's look and taste. Kyoko watches them in the kitchen, happy to see them bonding. Some days later, Rintaro's friends worry he's been sleeping in class. He tells them he's learning to bake. They get hyped up. Meanwhile, at Kikyo, the girls are buzzing about Kaoruko's birthday. On the first day of summer break, Subaru gently asks to postpone it. She has other plans. Kaoruko agrees, just happy to celebrate with them. She thanks everyone sweetly, making everyone fawn over her. Later, Rintaro realizes he hasn't asked Kaoruko if she's free. He texts her to check. Luckily, Subaru's change of plans means Rintaro can give her the cake on her actual birthday. While Rintaro is busy, Kaoruko freaks out. No idea why he wants to meet suddenly. She figures he knows about her birthday. She calls Subaru to complain, blaming her for planning without asking. When she asks why, Subaru admits she wanted to see Kaoruko talk about the guy she likes. Ending the call, Kaoruko buries her face in her pillow, thrilled to see Rintaro on her special day. On her birthday, Rintaro works hard in the kitchen, trying different ways to bake, finally finishing a cake. He asks his father's thoughts. His dad says it's decent. After Rintaro leaves, his parents chat, noting their son's new smiles. Rintaro arrives early, suddenly feels nervous, doubting his baking. He then sees Kaoruko waiting, takes a deep breath, walks over, wishes her happy birthday, hands her the bag, which she takes happily. Kaoruko asks to open it now, but Rintaro suggests waiting until home. As he says it's a cake, her eyes sparkle. She eagerly suggests they find a spot. They go to the park where she played as a child with Subaru. It holds many memories. She wants to make a new one. Sitting down, Kaoruko opens the bag, beams with joy at the beautiful cake, asks if it's a new shop item. He says he made it himself. She falls silent. He explains he learned to bake it to show his thanks. She asks if she can call him later. He agrees. She promises to eat it carefully at home. After they part, Rintaro feels happy, seeing her smile. That evening, Kaoruko takes pictures of the cake, takes a bite, thinking of Rintaro's words. The cake is so tasty it makes her cry. Rintaro later watches news to calm his nerves. His parents clearly notice his anxiety. Just then, a text from Kaoruko. He dashes to his room. Kaoruko calls, thanking him for their time. She says the cake was fantastic. Rintaro finally relaxes. She adds it made her feel warm inside. Her family also loved it. When she mentions her brother ate half, he promises to bake another. After they say goodnight, Rintaro excitedly tells his parents she loved the cake. He then announces he wants to help at the bakery during summer break. His next cake will be even better. His dad immediately says he'll have to work much harder daily, but Kayoko playfully taps his forehead, tells him to take it easy. She tells Rintaro to help whenever he feels like it, and to enjoy his vacation too. After that, his dad asks for cake details. Kayoko sees Rintaro smiling, wishes him a happy summer. This is where our anime comes to an end. Subscribe for anime recaps.